Hey everybody, I apologize for my tardiness. Hello, hello, hello. Hey Nakenya, hey Kia, hey Steph, hello Pumpkin, hey Aretha, hey Bree, hey Trissy. Hi guys, I guess you guys are here to hear the book, huh? So you guys are here to hear the book, huh? Tell me, are you here to hear the book? Well, I'm going. Hey Vivian. I am so glad you guys are here. You know, because of copyrights and all this kind of stuff, I may have to talk in between it, and I'm gonna put up the disclaimer for you guys. But be prepared. Get yourself some popcorn. Relax. Put in your earbud because we're gonna listen to this story. And I'm gonna give you a reference. The name of the book itself is called Compton Street Legend, and it's by well, it has a couple of names in here. Notorious Keefe D. This says the street level account of Tupac and Biggie's murder. Ooh. Death Row Origins, Suge Knight, Puffy Cone, and Crooked Cops. And it's written by Keefe D. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, and narrated by Yusuf Ja. Yusuf Ja is the narrator. So that is the name of the book. And we will get ready to begin. Y'all guys, you got your popcorn ready, got your sit down so you guys can get the first hand of what's going to happen. Listen, let me tell you something. I was thinking about like this case is going to be in Vegas, right? I have a niece that lives in Vegas, and I have some peeps in Vegas, right? My stepchild, when my ex-husband's daughter lives there as well. So I was thinking about making that trip when they do the trial. What do y'all think? I think I should do this trial. Be prepared to do this trial. I have family to stay with, especially my niece, my sister's daughter. Be hanging out with my niecey. Do you guys support me going over there to do this trial when the trial starts? I'm gonna put my name on there to get the updates and stuff like that as a journalist. And you say yes? Stephanie said yes, thumbs up. Oh Lord, before I could even get the answers out, y'all put down yes. But you know, because Tupac is my favorite artist of all time. As rappers, and I think that would be a great thing for me to cover. And I'm gonna try to get all the information from Vegas on that case. Put my name on part of their got a court. Monday I'm gonna contact the court system and see if I can get added on as media correspondent, get anything that has to do with the case. And yeah, see how it goes. If they charge him federally, then I have access to PACES. But if they do local, I have to get into the local government's records, stuff like that. But okay, let us begin. Yes, please. Okay, Tracy says yes. Okay. I got a unanimous yes, because I do have family there, and I'm gonna tell my sister ahead of time. So my niece be ready for me, or even my stepdaughter-in-law. No, stepdaughter, not daughter-in-law. Stepdaughter, just tell her because she wants to see me. It gets to knock two birds with one stone. So I wouldn't have to have an expensive hotel or anything like that. But my niece, she's a nurse out there. She just recently bought a house, so she don't mind her auntie going up there to hang out with her. All right, guys. And my sister would be ecstatic because then her and I could hang out and do stuff together. Me and my sister hadn't done stuff in a while. You know, she works. That's the doctor out she's in Arizona, but her daughter lives in Vegas. All right, y'all, let's go. Y'all ready? Let's get started. Thumbs up if you're ready, guys. Thumbs up if you're ready to hear the story. All right, let's go. Hold on a second.
Notorious Keefe D's street-level accounts of Tupac and Biggie murders, death row origins, Suge Knight, Puffy Combs, and crooked cops. Written by Keefe D with Yusef Jah. Narrated by Yusef Jah. Compton Street Legend. Introduction. Many people will pick up this book for its celebrity value. It's true that my gangster lifestyle has led me to cross paths with some of the biggest names in the history of hip-hop. Tupac Shakur, Christopher Notorious B.I.G. Wallace, Sean Puffy Combs, and Marion Suge Knight, resulting in a massive collision with fatal consequences. I mourn, like millions of others, the loss of two hip-hop giants, Tupac and Biggie, and the impact their losses had on their families and fans. My reality, however, doesn't allow me to give a fuck about the celebrity aspect of this story. Never have and never will. What I do care genuinely about and hold in high esteem are the values of love, family, unity, brotherhood, loyalty, trust, and honor. That is what this story is about. It's been more than 20 years since the premature yet understandable deaths of Tupac and Biggie occurred. Premature because as talented and influential as both men were, they were killed long before either of them had a chance to reach their full potential. Understandable because in the streets, and I've lived a gangster lifestyle for most of my life, there's a strict code that real niggas live, kill, and die by. Tupac's and Biggie's deaths were direct results of that code violation and the explosive consequences when the powerful worlds of the streets, entertainment, and crooked-ass law enforcement collide. In the past couple of years, there have been several TV specials, documentaries, newspaper and magazine articles, and numerous websites dedicated to the subject of who killed Biggie and Tupac. But at the end of the day, none of the private investigators, retired police officers, informants, hip-hop heads, actors, or academics who have weighed in on the topic know what happened and the reasons behind it. None of them were there. I'm one of the only living eyewitnesses to Tupac's killing, who also knows the much larger story around the reasons why both Tupac and Biggie were killed.
Y'all, did you hear that? He said all the others are dead. He's the only living person, well, I guess, eyewitness to this and the reasons why. So get your popcorns ready and let's dig in, y'all. Let's dig in and listen to this. Welcome to Infamous Sylvia, guys. Thank you guys for being here. Again, this book is called Compton Street Legend and is written by Keefe D. Davis. Okay. Keefe, well, his first name is Dwayne Keefe D. Davis. Gotta give reference to the owners of the book. Okay, here we go.
I was considered a prime suspect in both the Biggie and Tupac killings for years. I know the real fucking story. I admittedly lived most of my life as a gangster, a real gangster that did all the shit that real gangsters do.
Dang.
Not the bullshit you see in this generation where everybody faking with all this IG shit.
Oh.
So I'm not trying to paint myself as a fucking saint. I am well aware that I'm a walking miracle. And I thank my Lord for his love, mercy, and grace. I could very easily be sitting in a federal penitentiary in Terre Haute or Marion, shackled with the death penalty, waiting in misery for my...
Well, I think he's getting ready to do the death penalty on this one, yeah. I think they're going to go for the death penalty on this one. So what do y'all think?
Name and number to be called. Instead, I finally get the opportunity to tell my side of the story. This process has been therapeutic for me because I've been carrying this shit with me for all of these years.
Didn't I tell you he probably had his conscience been bothering him? I told you. He's been living in hell.
People out there who play dirty are putting salt on my name, character, and reputation. Yet I am the only one looking dirty in this shit. People judge and...
Oh my God, y'all! He about to tail it on. There's other people they're gonna come after. How you think this is gonna be? What do you really need to put a RICO charge on here? This is where a RICO charge should apply. Let me tell y'all something, because there's a whole bunch of people behind this. RICO charge should be applied in this. If it's not, then the government is full of crap. RICO charge, even with the crooked cop and all the other people he's going to mention, should be part of this. This is where the real RICO, not R. Kelly stuff. This is where the real RICO should be applied here. Okay?
Develop opinions based on the bullshit they've heard about me without knowing the full story. They don't know what I was up against. The FBI did me like they did to John Gotti, and they're trying to do Donald Trump. They flipped all the bottom feeders underneath me, then came and got me. But when the police that were involved with this case tell their stories, they protect everybody else's identities except mine. The most challenging part about telling this story is that some of the guys who ended up betraying me were the closest friends I had on earth. In fact, some were even members of my own family.
Uh-oh.
I tell my story with utmost confidence because, as Winston Churchill once said, the truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may deride it, but in the end, there it is. I'm a good person who the truth will reveal, saved a lot of lives, and helped a lot of people. I helped Suge. He knows I helped him get on his feet and get Death Row going from my hard-earned street shit.
Oh.
Then he turned around and tried to disrespect the game. I helped Puffy. He knows I was there for him when he needed help.
Uh-oh.
There's no fucking way he can deny it. He's going to shiver in his boots if he ever sees me.
Uh-oh.
I have a whole gang of dudes from my hood and from Grape Street.
Y'all, did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? Did you guys hear that? You know, I got to talk in between. But did you guys hear that? Oh my God, this is like so much, woo, some hot boiling tea.
And verify and confirm our dealings. I'm not going to say their names.
Oh, wait a minute. Verify and confirm the dealings. He's not going to say the names, but verify and confirm the dealings. Ooh, child. Sorry, y'all. I got to keep talking in between it because, you know, hold on.
And unless it's time to mention their names. I want to make one...
Do you think he's going to mention their name when they pull them into interrogation? Do you think he gonna mention some names? Do you think Rico's gonna come? All those who think Rico's gonna come, put your hands up. Give me a thumbs up if you think Rico is gonna come down now. Kia, I don't know. I must disagree. I must disagree with you, Kia. I think Rico's coming down the line. Yeah, I think Rico's coming down the line, y'all. I think Rico's coming.
1 point super clear. I've seen the little shit some of these punk-ass rappers, boxers, and other wannabe tough celebrities have written on the internet, talking about their gangsters for Tupac. I want to make it clear that while I've made a lot of changes in my life and heart, I'm not one to play with. You can go up against these streets if you want to, but I guarantee you, you won't win. It's time for me to set the story straight.
Oh man, y'all. Oh my goodness. Woo, child, y'all. Y'all got your popcorn. Y'all got your popcorn. Oh my God. Lord have mercy. Here we go.
Gangbanging is male love pushed to its limits. As insane as it may seem, it's all based on love. There's a lot of qualities.
Well, Pumpkin says, sure probably knows what happened, but I bet he won't. Oh, you're talking about Suge. Okay. Ooh, child, y'all. Come on, let's go.
These young brothers that you may look down upon have that you don't have. Somebody could come in your house and kill your wife and your children, and you wouldn't do shit. you'd sit on your ass. These brothers aren't having that. A lot of us wish we had it. To the layman, it will look like it's a world based on hate, but it's not. It's based on love. Ice-T, Uprising, Crips and Bloods. Foreshock. Fuck that big homie. We know where them niggas gonna be. They gonna be at Club 662. Their rage was evident, ignited upon learning that my nephew, Baby Lane, had gotten jumped. How y'all know? I calmly asked. Them niggas been on the radio out here for weeks, talking about a death row after fight party at Club 662. That nigga Pac's supposed to be there. Club 662 was a Las Vegas nightclub owned by Death Row CEO Suge Knight. The intelligence was from reliable sources, as some of the younger homies from our set have been stationed in Vegas selling dope, a satellite operation of sorts. All right, homies, I commanded. That's where we're going then. Club 662. As we headed to our vehicles. Southside had not gone down to Vegas thinking about marrying Suge Knight or Tupac Shakur. We were out there to do what we had been doing in Vegas for years. Eat, drink, and be merry. When conversations would come up about $1 million bounty on the heads of Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur, that was business. But after Tupac, Suge...
Wait a minute. There was $1 million bounty on the head of Suge Knight and Tupac. It's business, he said. Bounty of $1 million.
And them death row niggas jumped on my nephew, Baby Lane. The shit became ominously personal. While we were waiting for the valet to bring out our cars, Zip seized the opportunity and called me over to his Benz. Zip was a big-time New York player, pimp, and hustler who used to come out to California to handle his business and kick it with us sometimes. As I walked up to the driver's side window, I noticed that the rapper Foxy Brown was in the car with Zip. So he instructed her to step out of the car and motioned for me to jump in. Zip had a hidden compartment that he opened up, reached in, and pulled a black 40 Glock out. He turned to me and said, "It's time to get the money." Zip handed me the 17-shot pistol, which I promptly put down the back waist of my pants. I hopped out of the car, held the door open for Foxy Brown to get back in, closed the door, and they pulled off. "Get in the car you came in. Let's roll," I shouted as our cars came out from the valet. We left immediately from the MGM parking lot and headed directly to Club 662. I was still appropriately dressed in my Ray Luca crime story suit, since there was about to be a real-life crime story. We pulled into the back parking lot of Club 662, where the talent and VIPs entered. In front of the club, there was a long line of excited, drunk people waiting to enter the club. I planned to confront Suge. "Hey, nigga, why the fuck y'all jump on my nephew?" The ironic thing is, I had just seen Suge in Vegas the night before the fight. He and members of his death row crew were rolling in their Rolls Royces. We greeted each other and everything. "What's up, big dog? What's up?" We were both major players in the same game. Suge had the music industry, I had the streets. We both had the same boss. If Suge and them niggas had a beef with something Southside had done, Suge could have said something to me when he saw me that night. Instead, Suge and his...
So Suge is part of the gang as well, y'all? Because, I'm not familiar with that stuff. Is Suge part of a gang? And which gang is he part of? If he is.
Boys committed the ultimate disrespect when they kicked and beat down my nephew, Baby Lane, in a video broadcast on news stations seen around the world. In case my diplomatic approach to resolving the situation didn't work, we had 3 vehicles, 3 to 4 people in each, ready to burn their asses up. My crew was do or die.
Okay, so they had 3 vehicles with 3 or 4 people in it. So everybody else is dead? All the vehicles that knew about what was about to go down? I'm just trying to figure out. Thank you, Pumpkin, for that.
All my young homies had already been shot at least once, so their street experience turned them into some stone cold killers. They had the mentality of, it's either them or me, and it ain't gonna be me. With solemn faces, we waited in complete silence in the back parking lot of Club 662 for more than an hour. Inside our vehicles, nobody took a drink. There was no weed, no music, not a peep. We were as grave as a heart attack. The only thing audible was niggas breathing and tense, throbbing heartbeats.
Wow.
There was no need for words. We all understood why we were there. We waited for an hour and a half, which felt more like 4 hours. I decided for us to get the fuck out of there. I called the homies on their phones. They're taking too damn long. Let's get fucked up. Move out. One by one, the drivers started their engines and slowly crept out of the back parking lot. Lucky for them, they never showed up because it would have been like Al Capone's...
Okay, so now he's claiming that they never showed up and lucky for them, but we're going to listen some more.
Valentine's Day massacre if they had. One thing about our crew, when it was time to handle business, we handled it with the best of them. And when it was time to have fun, we did that too. It's not that we were over what had happened to Baby Lane. It's just we couldn't control when them niggas were going to show up. Waiting so long was stopping us from doing what we had gone to Vegas to do in the first place. Have a good time. Our next destination was the Carriage House, a Las Vegas hotel where we had rented a few rooms as a kickback spot. On the way to the Carriage House, we stopped by the liquor barn to buy some bottles of Dom Perignon Rose, and Cristal. As we were driving to the liquor barn, it became evident that the guys in the van with me were worried that Suge would get some of his police hitmen to come back and try to kill us if we went after them. The police do hits for that nigga, one of them said. I remember thinking to myself, y'all shouldn't have jumped y'all punk asses in here if you're scared. Y'all know what we came here to do. C-Ray, who was one of my top salesmen and later became the first one to start snitching on niggas, was in the van with me, along with his cousin Trey and BMS Big Meech out of Detroit. As we were loading up to leave the liquor barn, I took advantage of the chance to get away from them scary niggas in the van. I jumped in the front passenger seat of the Cadillac because I knew the niggas in the Caddy was...
Y'all heard that. He jumped in the front seat of the Cadillac. Did you hear this? Isn't that what the police officer was talking about when he gave his press conference about the white Cadillac? He just basically told on himself, yes, Kia, yes. She said, wait. Oh my God. Big Meech, yes. Lord have mercy. Okay. Let's go. Let's listen, Linda, listen. You know, I have to talk in between this, right? Yup, it was 4 of them in the car. His nephew was the shorter Baby Lane. Oh, Pumpkin, you know a lot. Hold on. You know, we got to talk in between this. I'm not being funny, but we got to talk in between, okay?
With that bullshit. I pulled out the Glock that Zip gave me and tossed it in the backseat.
Okay, let's do our fair use comment. Hold on, let me put the banner up for fair use. Okay. Copyright disclaimer under the Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for the purpose of criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. So what we're doing right now, we're doing news reporting right now. So, okay, that is the copyright in fair use. All right. Okay, let's let the ticker go. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna finish.
Bubble Up did the driving. Baby Lane and Freaky were riding in the back. After our pit stop at the liquor barn, we continued towards the Carriage House. As we were driving, the 2 vehicles that were with us got caught at the traffic light. We kept rolling. A few blocks down, we were sitting at the light, and who the fuck did we see? The Death Row Caravan hit the corner with Tupac hanging out of the window of a black luxury BMW waving to his fans. People on the streets were screaming, "Tupac, Tupac, we love you, Tupac." In unison, all of our heads turned. There them motherfuckers go right there. If Pac had not been hanging out of the window, we would have never seen him. Buster you, Buster you. Bubble Up busted a U-turn and hit the gutter lane on their asses. As they sat in traffic, we slowly rolled past the long line of luxury cars they had in their caravan. We were on a mission, looking into each one, until we pulled up to the front vehicle and found who we were seeking.
Wow!
Like two rams locking horns, Suge and I looked each other dead in the eye, our eyes locked. The terrified expression on Suge's face read, "Damn, them niggas." No words exchanged. The time for talking had passed. The shit was about to go down. Keefe D is my name. Suge Knight and I are the only living eyewitnesses to what truly happened on September 7, 1996, on the Vegas Strip, between the occupants of our two vehicles. This deadly confrontation would change hip-hop history and my life forever. Contrary to what some may think based on depictions from bullshit-ass TV shows, documentaries, and movies, we were not pants-sagging gangbangers looking for trouble. Far from it. At the time of the incident, I had risen the ranks to become a major shot caller for the notorious Southside Compton Crips. I was running a multi-million-dollar nationwide drug empire. Many of you have heard my name, but you don't know my story. You only know the bullshit that has been written and said about me by police, private investigators, and their punk-ass confidential informants. Fasten your seatbelts. It's my turn.
Are y'all fasten seatbelt? Y'all got your seatbelt on, y'all? Do y'all have your seatbelt on? Hit the like button, y'all. Do y'all have your seatbelt on? Do you got your seatbelt on? Y'all ready to fasten those seatbelts and get going and hearing what happened? Y'all ready? You got your seatbelt? Okay, Lori. All right, here we go, guys. This is what happened. He's going to tell his side of the story.
Straight out of Compton. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. We had everything before us. We had nothing before us. We were all going direct to heaven. We were all going direct the other way. Charles Dickens, Tale of Two Cities. Hey, Ma, I'll be right back. I'm going to run to the liquor store around the corner. All right, baby, be careful. Always, you know me. With that, I headed for a routine stop to the neighborhood liquor store to pick up a few items I needed. As I was coming out of the store, I saw 8 niggas with bats, poles, and sticks running towards the entrance of the store. I stood there, looking around, wondering who was about to get their ass kicked. Then it registered. There wasn't anybody out there but me.
Uh-oh.
Oh, shit. I darted towards my car and jumped in before they could reach me, pushed the button to lock the doors, and felt, momentarily at least, relieved. As I scrambled to find the ignition key, I suddenly heard a door open. I don't know how them motherfuckers got that front passenger door open. I could have sworn I locked it. Get that motherfucker, one of them shouted. Drag his ass out here. As one of the guys tried to grab me, I started kicking and swinging in a valiant yet vain attempt to keep the bloodthirsty wolves off me. Oh, fuck. I heard the car door behind me open, and I got clobbered in the back of the head with the pole. Punches rained down on me from all directions until one of them opened the driver's side door and pulled me out of the car. The last blow was with the bat across the side of my neck, which sent me crashing into a trash can. Semi-conscious, I heard one of them say, "Hurry up, let's get the fuck out of here before somebody calls the cops." My attackers took off running. As I pulled myself off the floor, I was literally seeing red from the warm blood that was streaming down my face and neck. My left eye was damn near shut closed. I was a bloody mess. I floundered back to my car, drove home, and stumbled into the house. Once inside, I headed straight for my weapon stash, pulled out my 30-30 hunting rifle with an extra clip, and put my 9mm in my waistband. Before storming out of the door, I made a quick stop in the bathroom to wash off my face and neck. My injuries had become secondary to the desire for revenge that had completely taken over every ounce of my being. Those motherfuckers done fucked with the wrong one tonight was all I could think. I knew precisely where one of the dudes lived, so I quietly pulled up in front of his family's house. The lights were all out. I was in Elmer Fudd mode. Shh. Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting niggas.
Wait a minute.
I rolled down the car.
Did he say he hunting the N-word? Be very, very quiet. He hunting N-word. Lord have mercy, y'all. Woo! Yeah, exactly, T-Girl. This is how you do an audiobook. Hold on, y'all. Let's go.
Pointed the rifle and let my trigger finger do the talking. Booker, 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 Booker. The shot simultaneously shattered the previously quiet block, the windows and door of the house. I continued blasting until the clip was empty. Booker, 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 Booker. I quickly changed clips and shot some more. Booker, 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 Booker. Nearly emptying the second clip. When I finally stopped firing, the barrel of the gun was smoking. I put the pedal to the floor and sped off into the darkness. As my luck would have it, who did I see when I hit the corner? The brother of the guy I was looking for. Sorry, nigga, but you're in the wrong fucking place at the absolute wrong fucking time. I jumped out of the car with the gun still smoking. Motherfucker, don't move, bitch! The barrel of the rifle pointing directly between his eyes. Hands raised, his younger brother pleaded, "Don't kill me, don't kill me." My cousin Darlene ran from the inside of one of the crack houses we had on the block. She was from Grape Street, a well-known Crip set out of...
Wait a minute. He has a crack house? Man, a menace to society. Lord have mercy.
The Jordan Downs projects in Watts. Kill that motherfucker was Darlene's ghetto advice. But there were too many witnesses, and my homies had trained me better than that. With the butt of the rifle, I bashed him in the head, knocking him back where he landed head first on the concrete. I moved in and started kicking him in the face. I guess from hearing all of the gunshots, a little crowd had gathered, including my boys Clyde, Gangster Ben, and Bubble Up. They were on that nigga like stink on shit. What happened, big dog? One of the homies asked, concerned about the blood that was still visible on my face, neck, and soaked into my shirt. These niggas caught me up at the liquor store, beat me with bats and poles, all kinds of shit. Come on, dog, let's get you home. We hopped in my ride and boned out to my pad. When I got home, my sister began treating me. Damn, you're fucked up. You need to go to the hospital. My sister did her best to stop the leaking and bandage me up. Then we rushed out of the house into the car and sped to Killer King Hospital. That was the shameful name that the Martin Luther King Jr. Hospital had earned back then. I made a few mistakes, but one would catch up with me. In our rush to get to the emergency room for medical attention, I forgot about cleaning the empty gun shell casings out of the car. Next thing I knew, a few hours later, while laying on an emergency room hospital bed, the police came in and booked me. Welcome to my city, Compton, USA. And welcome to my world, the streets. Compton was the city my parents chose to raise their family. But the street life, that decision was all mine. I don't want to mistakenly or carelessly paint the picture that Compton was an ultra-violent community for everybody. In fact, back in the late 60s and 70s, Compton was a middle-class, family-oriented paradise for blacks. Before moving to Compton, our family lived in Watts, right across the street from Markham Middle School. Many people from Compton formerly lived in Watts. Back then, moving to Compton from Watts was like George Jefferson moving on up from Harlem to a deluxe apartment on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. It was considered a step up, even though the two cities are only about 3 miles away from each other. Our family received our lucky break when my pops and uncle went to Agua Caliente Racetrack in Tijuana, Mexico. They picked 6 consecutive winning horses. My dad won $50,000 that day, which would be the equivalent of winning $1 million today. With the winnings, Our parents relocated from Watts, bought a house in Compton, and 2 brand new cars. When we moved onto our block in 1965, there weren't any other blacks in the neighborhood, and the white families that lived there wanted to keep it that way. That's when I observed firsthand how the phenomenon known as white flight is real. Once we moved into that neighborhood, white families started fleeing like cockroaches when the lights come on. My mother was a dedicated housewife whose family came from Dallas, Texas. I remember one day my mother and I were returning home with a shopping cart from Cole's Market, the local grocery store. A carload of big white dudes pulled up in a '56 Chevy and started screaming out the window, "Niggers, niggers, get the fuck out!" That shit scared me to death. I couldn't have been no more than 5 years old. My mom's looked at me with a stern but confident look in her eyes. Her hand was in her purse, and she said, "Don't worry about them." My mother certainly wasn't worried because she made sure she protected her kids at all times. Another early memory I have was in 1968. My mother and I were driving on one of her errands, listening to the radio when the program was interrupted. CBS News Bulletin just in. Civil rights leader Dr. Martin Luther King was shot at a downtown Memphis hotel. I could see tears begin to swell up in her eyes. "What's wrong, Mama?" I didn't fully comprehend the gravity of the situation reported, but Mama knew, and she started to weep. "They killed Martin Luther King." I hadn't seen my mother cry before, so that's when I knew the shit was serious. My dad was a former Marine and a strict disciplinarian who taught us good principles. My father's family is originally from Homestead, Virginia. We can trace our lineage directly to Nat Turner, the famous freedom fighter who led one of the most successful slave rebellions in U.S. history. It gives me a great sense of pride to know that I come from one hell of a bloodline. Not many people can say that Nat Turner is their great, great, great direct descendant. In fact, I can arguably say that I'm the hardest motherfucker in my family since Nat Turner. My grandmother, who was the backbone of our family, may have been my closest competition. I remember one day my grandma called me asking questions. I told her I didn't have the answers to the questions she was asking. My grandmother got to going off and cursing a little bit. I was like, "Grandma, I'm cool. I'm going to go on and get off the line. I'm not going to hang up in your face, but I'm going to get off the line." That day, I happened to get a nice sized shipment. So I had my whole crew on the porch. We were over at the house on Burris Lane so we could distribute the product. About 10 minutes after hanging up the phone, I saw Grandma pulling up. I was planning on leaving before she got there because I knew she was coming. But before I could leave, she pulled up. She lived off of 62nd and Broadway over in 6 Deuce Hood. She had to be doing 90 miles per hour to get over there that fast, was just about match her age at the time. When she pulled up, Grandma's anger and adrenaline were flowing so hard, she jumped out, didn't even use her walker, and came up on the porch. I was sitting on the porch with about 10 homies. She had $300 in her left hand, and her right fist was balled up. She reared back and socked me in the nose right in front of everybody, letting everybody know I'll still whip this nigga's ass. She punked me, then threw the $300 in my face. "Nigga, you think you're better than everybody because you got 2 pennies more than everybody? You're going in the dirt just like everybody else, motherfucker." Before she left, she whipped out her black old school .38 revolver and made it clear, "Nigga, I'll kill you."
Whoa, man. Grandma's a gangster like that? His grandma was a gangster like that? Oh, my Lord. Oh, jeez. The crackers. All right, hold on.
Gave me a pass by not shooting my ass. She pulled off the curb and made a U-turn when my brother yelled, "She finna do a drive-by." All of us hit the ground. She punked us. The next morning, she called me for breakfast and apologized. She told me she didn't mean to do me like that. My parents moved to California once my dad was assigned to Camp Pendleton in Oceanside, California. There were 12 of us children, 6 boys and 6 girls. 2 of my brothers passed away. My oldest brother, Thurman, died from leukemia, a form of cancer, in 1971. My brother Mike, who was 2 years older than me and doubled as my best friend, got shot and died in the streets of Compton in 1990. Little Dog is my little brother who is 4 years younger than me and followed in my footsteps. In 1980, when I was 15 years old, my mother died from colon cancer, the same shit I developed and almost died from in 2014. Lucky for me, during an annual visit to my doctor for a physical, my doctor asked, "Are you feeling all right?" He had a look of concern. "Yeah, I'm good." "You sure?" He asked with a doubtful look on his face. "Yeah, I feel normal." He looked down at my blood work results for a few minutes, assessing my extremely low blood level. We left his office immediately, walking directly across the street into the hospital emergency room. I spent 35 days in the hospital because my blood level was half what it should have been. Instead of 14.7 pints of blood, my blood level was more than 7 pints low. While I was in the hospital, they fed me intravenously due to the blood transfusions I was receiving. This meant I wasn't able to eat solid food for 17 days. That shit didn't work for me because I would get hungry as a bear cat. When the nurses weren't looking, I would steal juices off the food carts because they weren't giving me anything to drink. My fluid intake was restricted to sucking on ice. I went into the hospital weighing 238 pounds and left weighing 190. One day, my family came to visit me in the hospital, and the nurse put me on blast. She was like, "Do you know your son and your brother has been in here stealing juices off the cart? He doesn't know it, but we have cameras." Oh, shit. I have been stealing juices for more than a week, but they finally caught on. That food cart would come around, and I'd run up there with the IV still in my arm. On another day, my sister came to visit with my 2 nieces, my grandson, and my wife. A siren went off, and I heard a nurse say, "Code red." To me, code red meant somebody had died or was dying. 30 minutes later, another code red went off. So I got out of my bed, and I was feeling bad that day, and I shut the motherfucking door. My sister was like, "Why you shut the door?" I said, "The Reaper is out there, and he's busy. He ain't coming in this motherfucker." They started cracking up laughing. My sister said, "You got the Lord with you. You don't have to worry about no damn Reaper." Eventually, the doctors operated on me, took out my big and small intestines, and stapled me back together with 25 staples in my stomach. If my doctor hadn't acted so quickly, it could have been over for me. I watched Big Ange from the My Wives go through a similar battle and die, which was some sad shit to see. My cancer is currently in remission. Fortunately, the doctors were able to remove the tumor while it was still in the opening stage, before the first stage. The CAT scans have been coming back normal ever since. My cancer doctor told me I was cancer-free, but he warned me that this is the 5-year period where I have to get CAT scans every 6 months and a colonoscopy every year. The shit is scary, and it's been a long journey. The Lord has been with me through it all. Despite my mother's passing, my father held our family down for over 20 years by himself. Then he finally remarried. Back in the 60s and early 70s, most Black families had both a mother and father in the house. Besides my parents, other members of their family also migrated to California in the late 50s, along with scores of other African American families. Eventually, our whole street was full of Black families. Contrary to popular myth, the majority of young men that started Crips and Bloods in Compton had mothers and fathers in the home and in their lives. Single-parent households didn't jump off in Compton until the late 70s. Back then, parents instilled morals and values into their kids, and there wasn't such a thing as child abuse. For the first 14 years of my life, our family attended church regularly. You would get your ass wore out if you misbehaved. The principal at the school was even empowered to whip your ass if you misbehaved. Gang members back then had to be undercover. You might be big and bad on the streets, but when you got home, you changed up because mom and dad were in the house and they didn't play. These new street dudes are growing up in homes without both parents. That's why they're all fucked up and don't have any respect. Growing up, We also didn't have a lot of gang violence with Mexicans. In fact, we did business with them. Before I went to the feds in 1998, the blacks had the dope sacks. By the time I got out of the feds, the Mexicans had the sacks. They rolled around Compton looking like brothers used to look. Even their senoritas roll around in nice cars. That used to be how blacks had it in Compton. Several factors influenced my decision to get involved with the street life. Back in the late 60s and early 70s, it was a fad that a lot of kids were getting involved with. Street life was a way for young blacks to protect ourselves and our communities from anybody who wanted to mess with us. By 1969, 1970, gangs were growing super fast and super big, and I wasn't interested in being an outsider. Our neighborhood, Southside Crips, started in 1971. Our area is bordered by Long Beach Boulevard to Alameda, Compton Boulevard to Greenleaf. We were initially known as the Us Boys. There were a couple of incidents with the Pyrus, Bloods in the area that motivated the original Us Boys to convert and become Crips. The Crips were the most dominant gang popping off back then. To this day, there's a bunch of Crip sets in Compton. Santana Block, Southside, Nutty Block, Spooktown, Carver Block. There's a lot of them. I don't know what the incident was that set things off for the older guys, but there was an incident that I experienced. A few of us youngsters, 9 and 10-year-olds, rode our bikes to the Pep Boys on Long Beach Boulevard. When we got to Palmer Street, we ran into some Looters Park blood niggas. Little George, Willie T, Bartender, and Herman Jr. They were all older than us. We were riding in the street and cars were coming behind us. So when we saw them, we couldn't turn around. Once they saw us, they started chasing us. Willie T caught up to me, socked me in the nose, and took my bike. I never forgot that shit. During another incident, once again, I was with some of my friends, Uchi and Stevie Johnson, the little brother of the Boston Celtics, Dennis Johnson. We went to the Compton College pool, where everybody used to go swimming. While we were swimming, about 30 bald-headed Crips came up to the pool and chased everybody out. One of the dudes, Sweet Tooth, was an original Us Boy, but he turned Crip. He pointed at us and said, "Those are little Us Boys." You should have seen how fast we ran out of that motherfucker. We were just 9 and 10 years old. They were all 16, 17, and 18 years old. Even though I was too young to be in the Us Boys, I was there when the neighborhood converted over to become Crips. Once again, I and some of my friends were within earshot when a group of the Us Boys, including a few of my big brothers, were having a conversation about an apparent beef they had with some Pyrus, Bloods. They were pissed about something. "Be up there around 4 or 5, one of the homies barked. Mac Thomas, Bruno, Head Honcho, and some of the Grandee Crips are going to meet us up at Emerson. The invitation wasn't for us. We were too young to be in their business like that. But we went to Emerson anyway, following the older dudes. Crips from the Grandees, one of the original Crip gangs, showed up and put us on. It wasn't a hostile takeover. It was more like a merger, where everybody who was part of the Us Boys became Crips to give us a competitive advantage. After the conversion, a few dice games got started. It was my first official night as a Crip, and I happened to be shaking the dice when my pops came driving by and saw me. "Hey, what are you doing?" I didn't even have to look. I knew my dad's unmistakable voice when I heard it. I walked up to the car. "Nothing, just shooting dice." "Not no more. Bring your ass on and get in this car. I don't want you out there, you understand me?" I hopped in the passenger seat. "Yes, sir." I looked down as we pulled off to hide my embarrassment. "I don't give you money to do it like that." Little did he know, his 9-year-old son, as well as 3 of his older sons, had just become original Compton Crips. He took me back to the house and gave me a good old-fashioned pull your pants down belt whipping. That was back when you could still get a whipping from your parents. Back when the police would take you home so your parents would whip your ass. Although I didn't get to finish the dice game, I've been repping Southside Crip to the fullest. I learned a few valuable lessons as a youngster around dice games. One time when I was in the 8th grade, we were at this party shooting dice, and one of the dudes felt I cheated him. So he tried to steal. I whipped out my little 25 and pointed it at him. The guy's brother was there and whipped out a bigger strap than me, a 45. We had all grew up together, so once the smoke cleared, about 20 minutes later, we came to an agreement. The older brother told me, "Little dog, let me teach you a lesson. Don't ever pull no gun without using it. At least hit a nigga with it in the head a couple of times if you pull it out." That was important advice that I learned from and took to heart. One ironic relationship I had growing up was with the infamous Marion Suge Knight. I've known Suge since I was 9 years old. He and I played Pop Warner football together for the Greater Compton Colts and the Compton Wolves back when we were 11 and 12 years old. He played on the offensive line as the center, and I was the running back and strong safety, the hardest and fastest guy on the team. I earned the nickname the Assassin after Oakland Raider All-Pro safety Jack Tatum. Suge's cousins, Ronald and Donald, also played with us. Both of them played tight end. Almost all of the guys on our team were Crips, except Suge and his cousins. Suge's dad, who was the original Suge, was one of our coaches, and this other man named Billingsley was the head coach. Suge's family owned a diesel truck company, so they were living that middle-class lifestyle, driving nice vans and Cadillacs. When we'd win a game, his dad would invite the team over to their house to swim, eat hot dogs, potato chips, and punch. Suge was my dog. One longtime friend of mine was a guy named Bubble Up. As a young dude, 17 to 18 years old, he was one of the richest young niggas in...
Y'all see that? Suge had money. The whole family. Lord have mercy. I'm just stopping and just saying something because, I let it go a little longer this time. So, interesting, isn't it?
Compton. When we were back in high school, before the drug game got real big, people used to hijack trucks carrying cigarettes and other merchandise. Bubble Up was one of the best at doing it, catching a truck at least once a month. He had a Mexican fence out in Santa Fe Springs that used to give him $180,000 per truck. I think Bubble Up single-handedly contributed to the creation of the LoJack anti-theft system, because after a while, they started putting LoJacks on them motherfuckers. One of my best friends growing up was Uchi. I've known him since 1965, and we were always together. We didn't go to grade school together, but he lived 2 streets from me. His dad was also a football coach. He was about my size, but was younger than us, so he played with the younger guys. Another one of my friends growing up was a pretty boy I'm going to call C-Ray. He knew all the street players and pimps. Pimpin' Ken, Don Juan, Good Game. He liked to be around them. He came from a pretty well-off family. His mother worked for Mobile, and his dad worked for Boeing, which was called McDonnell Douglas back then. While the rest of us went to rough-ass Emerson Elementary, C-Ray went to Catholic school. He was my little homie and became one of my best salesmen once we were fully enrolled in Sidewalk University. We got into the drug game and started moving significant weight. Sidewalk University. In the early 70s, when I attended Emerson Elementary School, there was a teacher there by the name of Dr. Green. He also worked as an athletic trainer at Compton College. Dr. Green saw that I was a straight-A student, so when I was about 9 years old, he invited me to a Compton College football game to be a ball boy. My job was running fresh balls in from the sidelines. Dr. Green also worked with the basketball and baseball teams, so when their season started, I started working with both of those teams as well. Working with the sports teams at Compton College gave me the opportunity to travel throughout the state of California: Ventura, Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, and Fresno. We even went to Hawaii one year. Dr. Green eventually retired, but I continued to go to the college and became the team manager for the football, basketball, and baseball teams. When I was in 10th grade, I participated in UCLA's Upward Bound program that was designed to help students graduate from high school and successfully graduate from college. I was one of their top students. We would stay at UCLA for 9 weeks during the summer and spend random weekends there during the year. As part of the summer program, they would give us a $285 weekly stipend every Friday. The problem was when I would go back home to Compton during the summer. Some of the guys I grew up with had gotten involved in the drug game and were making more than $285 per day. As good as UCLA's Upward Bound program was, it wasn't moving fast enough for me. So I decided to get rolling myself. After 7 years of working at Compton College, first as a ball boy, then as team manager, I finally got the lucky break I needed to get into the game. The drug game, that is. One of my older brothers had already been selling ounces of weed to one of the Compton College baseball coaches named John. I used to deliver the weed to Coach John for my brother, which was definitely not an official part of my managerial duties. One day, John stopped me and said, "Yo, tell your brother I need an ounce." And he handed me $60, the price for an ounce of weed back then. The next day, I showed up at John's office with the package. "Here you go." And I handed him a rolled up brown paper bag. "It's a pleasure doing business with you," I said as I turned to walk out. "Hey, wait a minute. Come back in here and close the door," John shouted. He then opened his desk drawer and pulled out a big plastic bag which contained 4 ounces of powdered cocaine. "Hey, big dog, see if y'all can sell this shit." Coach John handed me the bag, and I guess he assumed I would take it home to my brother. Unlike today, where an ounce of powder cocaine is the size of a stamp, back then, powder cocaine was $2,800 an ounce and would fill a sandwich bag. That shit never made it home. I flipped all 4 ounces in one night. A few of the big homies, my brother-in-law from Grape Street, my homeboy Junior, and one of my brothers each bought an ounce from me that night. I was 16 years old and ready to seize my opportunity to get in the drug game and start balling like Kobe, a champ. My business started flourishing, and I began to move more and more product. By 1981 or 82, I had opened up a few crack houses in the neighborhood. One morning at about 5 o'clock, my older brother called me. "Hey, bro, I'm out of shit. I need some more. Send some over to my spot on Glencoe," which was just a few blocks away from a crack house I had on the corner of Greenleaf and Mayo. "I left some with nephew around the corner," I told him. "Nephew ain't got no more." "All right, I'll be over there in a minute to bring you some." I pulled up to a spot on Glencoe, and my brother sent this chick out. "Come get this shit yourself," I hollered out. No sooner than those words came out of my mouth, in my rearview mirror, I saw the sheriffs hit the corner. 2 sheriffs in particular, Ramos and Bauer, were some crazy gung-ho motherfuckers. I was in an IROC Camaro, so I took off and left their ass in smoke. I thought I got away, but little did I know, they continued looking for me. I hit the corner of Greenleaf and went to Mayo, my little corner spot where my nephew was. As I pulled up to the spot, I could hear the powerful motor of the sheriff's car speeding up Greenleaf, but I still had the kilos on me. I rushed up to the door of the house and began banging on the door. "Open the door, nephew!" Nephew didn't open the door. As fast as I could, I pulled the house keys out of my pocket and opened the door. By then, the sheriffs were out of their car and pointing their weapons at me. "Freeze, motherfucker!" I hurried and got my ass inside the house and locked the inside wooden door. But I forgot and left the keys in the outer bar door. Instead of running to the restroom and getting rid of the dope, I panicked and ran to the closet, still carrying the dope and a gun. Within a minute, at least 8 sheriff's cars pulled up. They kicked the door in and raided the house. They got my nephew, my homeboy, and his wife. They already had them handcuffed on the porch when they brought me out of the house. One of the sheriffs asked me, "What's your name?" "Ken." "Motherfucker, we know who you are." "My name is Ken." "That's your story?" Clearly irritated. "Yeah." They took me to jail and I bailed out. About 3 weeks later, I was going into the neighborhood to take this lady named Linda her daily 4 ounces to sell for me. Them same motherfuckers, Ramos and Bauer, came up behind me. Pull it over. They got out of their car and approached. You selling that dope tonight? No, sir, no. Unconvinced, they pulled me out of the car and had me sit on the curb while they searched and found the 4 ounces I had in the car. Put that fucker on the highest bail possible. My friends, Ramos and Bauer, gave me back-to-back cases real fast. I had already done the shooting I described earlier, so they combined the 3 cases and sentenced me to 4 years in the state pen. I was 20 years old. From 1985 to 1989, I served time in the same motherfucking prisons I used to visit as a kid from 1965 to 1976, when one of my uncles was serving his bid for murder. Before sending me to state prison, I was sent to Wayside Max, which is a part of the LA County jail system. While in Wayside, a riot popped off between Crips and some black Cubans who had been exiled by Fidel Castro during...
Okay, guys, what we're listening to is the book by Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, the one who was just recently arrested for Tupac's murder. He wrote a book where he was giving the whole confession, because right before, when he found out he had cancer, he started like confessing of a lot of stuff that he was part of. So this was one of it. And he has given some names, like he even talked about Puffy putting the bounty on the head of Suge Knight and Tupac. So we're listening to the book right now. So here we go. Those on IG, this is in my membership. I'm about to end this in a minute. So just come on over to YouTube and get your membership. Bye.
The Mariel boat lift when Castro emptied his jails. Ronald Reagan rounded most of the exiles up and put them back in jail. It was easy to tell if somebody had been to prison in Cuba because Castro had inmates' identification numbers tattooed on the inside of their lips. In America, inmates get a card with their inmate identification number on it, but Castro put the inmate number in their mouth. One day, when a group of Crips was in the chow hall eating, a situation broke out with one of the Cuban inmates. The Cuban inmate asked this dude named Small Fry, who was from Tragnew Park, to pass him the pitcher of Kool-Aid. Small Fry took his sweet time with the pitcher and asked all the Crips at the table, y'all want some more Kool-Aid, cuz? Yeah, let me get some more, cuz. Pass that shit over here when you're done, homie. We passed the pitcher around, and by the time it finally got to the Cuban, the shit was empty. The Cuban took the Kool-Aid pitcher, stood up, and hit Small Fry in the back of the head with it. When we got back to the housing unit, we had a little meeting. Hey, homie, what y'all want to do? Homeboy Small Fry was from Compton, so we had to do something. The decision was made that we had to make a move. I got my shank and went to work. I hit 3 of them. Hit them good, too. The police came in the unit shooting tear gas. Move! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! One by one, the police handcuffed and removed anyone, injured or not, that had blood on them. We were all lying on the ground, and the big Cuban that I stuck, the biggest one, came running towards me hollering, "Motherfucker!" He tried to get at me, but the sheriff tackled his ass before he could reach me. I ended up getting put in the hole for that shit. They were about to charge me with another case, but luckily they didn't. While I was in Wayside, the Crips also had a riot against the sheriffs. The sheriffs were the baddest motherfuckers in there. They beat up so many Crips, it was pathetic. It just so happened that I wasn't in the module set aside only for Crips, the 4800 module, when the riot happened. They had me stuck in the hole for 64 days from that Cuban shit. 64 days is a long time to be in the county jail hole. When I got out of the hole and saw the homies Mondo and Sad from Nutty Block, both of them told me, man, we had a riot with the sheriffs. After Wayside, they sent me to Chino West for 2 months. Then the counselor at Chino told me, you're going to CIM or CMC. Every Friday they would post on the board where you were going. And next to my name it read, Tracy. I was practically still a kid heading up to Tracy. Tracy is fucking gladiator school. The 4800 module in Wayside was a dangerous place with all them Crips in there. But Tracy was a super big Crip place. There were 3,000 inmates, and 1,800 of them were Crips, hardcore gangbangers. The white boys, Mexicans, Cubans, all of them are raw in Tracy. In those days, Tracy was so dangerous, a blood would get their ass thrown off the tier because Crips ran the whole place. They had some vicious guys up in there that would rape your ass. One nigga named Big LA, they had to cut the top bunk out of his cell because he was assaulting so many people. My time in Tracy didn't help to rehabilitate me at all. On the contrary, my time in Tracy helped me to become a harder gangster. When you're a youngster up in the pen, between the ages of 19 and 21, you're on the front line. The homies send your ass on seek and destroy missions like a torpedo to earn your stripes. I had been selling dope before I got sent up to Tracy, so I was one of the more well-off inmates in there. It is safe to say I earned a few stripes and made it up out of there with no scars. My next move would be to take what I had learned in gladiator school and step my game up to the next level. The game. I am an invisible man. I am invisible, understand, simply because people refuse to see me. When they approach me, they see only my surroundings, themselves, or figments of their imagination. Indeed, everything and anything except me. Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man. Invisible? Not me. Fuck that noise. My destiny was to be seen, heard, and felt. I can honestly say I've accomplished my mission, and I'm still not done. Invisibility simply has never been in my DNA. In the street game, you can do 3 things by the age of 25. You can step your game up and become a gangster by making serious money and owning homes and businesses, become a grown man and get your ass a job, or continue gangbanging, taking risks of going back and forth to state prison and ending up in the grave. I chose the first, and with the help of a few trusted advisors, I took my street game to new heights. In my Southside Crip neighborhood, I was known by several names. Big Dog, Big Homie, some called me Gotti, but most knew me as Keefe D. In terms of rank, if we were an army, I was a 5-star general. If we were a city, I was the mayor. And if we were a country, I was President Obama. As Big Homie, I gave folks in my neighborhood jobs and an opportunity to earn money. I'm not talking about small amounts of money either. Folks earned enough to feed their families. They all had a couple of nice cars, trucks, and lowriders. We even started a lowrider club and a hydraulic company for lowriders. Just like in any other type of economy, everybody had a role to play. Like any good leader of an organization, I had my board of directors, the older, trusted, right-hand men that would advise me. I had one older gentleman named RC, who was super rich. He was 72 years old when he married this broad that was 28 years old. One day, RC came to me and said, I'm going through this divorce and all my shit is tied up. I need some bread. I need to borrow $70,000 from you, if that's cool. No problem, dog. Get at me later on tonight.
You see the kind of money these people had? He came to borrow $70,000 from this dude. He said, no problem, bro. No problem. 70,000. Here it is.
By my spot. RC showed up, and I hit him with the 70,000. I'll pay you back in a few months. Honestly, I had forgotten about the money. Then about 6 months later, RC showed up and said, I sincerely appreciate everything you did for me. Come, Let's go for a ride. He took me and signed 6 pieces of property over to me. 2 of them were triplexes, and the other 4 were duplexes. All of them he owned free and clear.
What?
All I had to do was pay the yearly property taxes on them.
What?
Soon after that, he moved to Houston, Texas, and 2 years later, he suffered a massive heart attack at a Hardee's restaurant and passed away. After he died, his daughter sued me for the houses, and the courts took the houses from me. Chief among my advisors was my beloved friend and partner, FL. He was a real, high-level, white-collar hustler, about 10 years older than me. FL and I first met when I was a little kid, and he was kicking it with one of my homegirls. FL used to come through the neighborhood to visit her in a brand new, pussy pink 76 Cadillac Seville. That bitch was pretty as a motherfucker. I'll never forget the day FL jumped into his girlfriend's car to run errands with her and left me the keys to his new ride so I could go to football practice. At 12 years old, I showed up to Pop Warner football practice driving a brand new Seville. Suge Knight's daddy, we called him Big Suge, was like, "Damn, where you get that from?" I had a smile on my face a mile wide. FL was my dog for a long time. He's the one that hooked me up with my Colombian cocaine connection. Boss Man was my first plug, before I established a direct relationship with my Colombian plug. Boss Man's aunt and his cousins are from my neighborhood, and his first cousin is my first cousin. Our 2 families go all the way back to Texas in the 1930s. My aunt has babies by his uncle, so we're practically cousins. He's a year older than me. The 2 of us played together since we were 3 or 4 years old. Boss Man was the first significant supplier that allowed me to get on the map. He would give me 20 kilos a week. In 1989, when I got out of Tracy for my first stint in the pen, Boss Man rolled up. "Hey, dog, glad to see you home. I don't have any work for you right now, but don't trip. I got you." He handed me a bag that contained $10,000 in cash. About 3 weeks later, I was at C-Ray's house, and Boss Man pulled up wearing a suit and a brand new Mercedes-Benz. "Hey, dog, come here." I walked up to his ride. "I have some rims in the backyard I need you to wash for me." I went to his auntie's backyard to wash the rims. Just as I was about to start, he came to the backyard and said, "Put them out to the front and wash them out there." I'm not sure why he wanted me to wash the rims out front, but it didn't bother me any. While I was washing the rims, one of the homies shouted, "I know that ain't Keefe D down there washing no motherfucking rims." Before I could yell back, a gray pickup truck pulled up in front of the house. Boss Man came out of the house and greeted the driver. Then he turned to me and said, "Hey, dog, throw those rims on the back of this truck." I lifted the rims and placed them on the back of the truck. Boss Man came to the back of the truck and explained, "We're big out here now, dog. We got some new shit called blow up. That's when you cut the cocaine to make 2 kilos out of 1. And birds don't cost $70,000 anymore. They're down to 14,000. I couldn't believe what he was telling me. He continued, "You see that brown bag in the back of the truck? Grab that. It's yours. Call me when you finish." I opened the bag, and there were 3 kilos inside. In the early 80s, the Peruvians and Belizeans were sending most of the dope to the United States. Once the Colombians took over the drug business, the price of cocaine went down to 14,000 a kilo. Armed with new information and the 3 kilos Boss Man gave me, I started rolling all over again. I called my boy C-Ray, who was staying in Birmingham, Alabama at the time, and let him know I was back in business. "Send me a half a kilo out here, dawg," he requested. I sent him the half kilo. A few days later, when I tried calling him, the nigga stopped answering my calls. I knew this chick named Felicia who was from Alabama, so I asked her to take a trip out there with me. We flew to Alabama and called him from a local Alabama number, and the nigga answered the phone on the first ring.
Uh-oh.
"Nigga, I'm at the airport. Come and get me." C-Ray came and picked me up, but the nigga didn't have any gas in the car. We were riding on fumes. He appeared to me like he was smoked out. C-Ray, man, you're tripping. We rented a 3-story house with the pool in the backyard and a basement for $250 per month to set up shop. In places like Alabama, a cellar is mandatory because the tornadoes will wipe your ass out. Back then, that same house in LA would have cost at least $2,000 per month. I took my kilos down to Birmingham, where we were selling 9 ounces for $12,000. I took 1 kilo and turned it into 3, then turned 3 into 9, then turned the 9 into 18 kilos. We were out there in Alabama balling for about a year and a half. One day, when I was back in Compton, boss man pulled up to one of my spots. Hey, dog, I need you to cook some water for me. Cooking PCP is a skill a minimal number of people have. It's super dangerous, and if you don't know what you're doing, it can explode like dynamite. It's a skill I learned during my stay in Watts after my mother passed away. I stayed in the Jordan Downs projects with some family members for about a year and a half and returned to Compton with a lot of game. Specifically, I learned how to cook up PCP. People on the East Coast don't know how to cook PCP. Cooking PCP is one of those ancient hood secrets that only niggas from Compton and Watts know how to do. I went over to boss man's location and cooked some PCP for him. He gave me an ounce when I was done. I started rolling again, opened up 3 or 4 crack houses, and boss man started giving me 100 grams every day for $7,000. I was rolling like a motherfucker. About 3 weeks after that, boss man got locked up in the summer of 1990. Not long after boss man got taken down, I met my Colombian plug and started dancing with the devil. Dancing with the devil. My rise to new heights in the drug game was the result of the fortuitous meeting with my new Colombian supplier, JC. In an ironic twist, despite JC's initials, I used to refer to him as the devil, but not because he was so deep in the drug game. JC was the devil because I never saw him lose at gambling. He and I both enjoyed games of chance. I'd take $25,000 from the first 5 kilos I'd sell, then head to the casinos with JC to have some fun. We would fly to Vegas at 10 o'clock at night and stay there until 6 o'clock the next morning. Without fail, he'd win. He'd earn $70,000 at one spot, then we would go to the Normandy Club where he'd win another $140,000. I'd be in the casinos getting murdered, while this guy would have chips damn near sky high. Man, you're the fucking devil, I jokingly say to him. Not once did I see him lose at the tables. Not once. It's like the laws of attraction were working for his ass. Since he already had a lot of money, more money seemed to be attracted to him. Over time, I learned that JC had millions. He owned a whole block of apartment buildings on both sides of the street in Inglewood. The way JC and I met, me and my boy FL was riding around as I was looking to cop 15 kilos. Since boss man was locked up for more than 6 months, I didn't have a reliable supplier. So I would have to go to one spot and get 5 kilos, go to another place to get 3 kilos, and another spot to get the rest. After the second stop, FL asked, "Man, you need a plug?" He didn't look at me when he asked the question, probably because he was disappointed in how inefficiently I was conducting my business. Hell yeah. Excitement and surprise both present in my voice because I knew FL was a player with high-powered connections. But I also knew that the drug game was not his area. I'm going to introduce you to one of my Colombian partners. Since FL didn't sell drugs, I don't know what business they had together, but that was none of my business. FL stepped out of the ragtop Corvette we were in and placed a quick phone call. When he got back in the car, he had a smile on his face like his mission was accomplished. "Turn right up here at the light, then make a left on Lakewood," FL instructed me. "Pull in this parking lot. Let's grab something to eat." We pulled into the Denny's parking lot on Lakewood Boulevard, right off the 91 freeway. My partner's going to meet us up here in a few. As we were placing our order, I saw a gray Plymouth Acclaim pull in right next to my Corvette. The driver was light-skinned, with blonde hair, and looked like he was in his early 20s. He wore a Boston Celtics jersey and some shades. He looked like a regular white boy, but once we met, he acted like deep down inside, he wanted to be a brother. FL had already told me that he was Colombian. The Colombian walked up to our booth and hugged FL. Then FL introduced us. JC, this is my partner, Keefe D. I stood and we shook hands. Keefe D, meet JC. JC joined us in the booth. He was originally from Medellin, the same place as Pablo Escobar and the cocaine godmother Griselda Blanco. Being the avid Lakers fan that I am, I immediately went in on the Celtics jersey he was wearing. Man, don't you know this is Lakersville? You sure got some balls. He already knew where I was going, so he covered his mouth as he started to laugh. Before I could finish, he shot back. 16 titles, check the record books. That's all I have to say, with a smug smile on his face. His English was excellent. The conversation and vibe went smooth, and from his friendly demeanor, I knew I had a new plug. We continued to converse about sports while eating our food. As usual, FL withdrew from the conversation once it turned to sports, since sports wasn't his thing. As JC prepared to leave, FL ended the meeting with one final emphatic statement. This guy right here, he looked JC in his eyes, put his arm around my shoulder, and said, he's the real deal. They don't get no realer. JC nodded in acknowledgement. As we began walking back to the car, I asked FL, that's your plug? Dude is connected? FL waited until we reached the car. Yeah, he's real strong.
Sorry, y'all. My bad. I went and pull up something else. Just a second. Hold on. All right. Hey, everybody, welcome back. I have to talk in between. We have about another 3 hours of this audiobook, and let's go.
As if he were an oracle, he continued. Just make sure that you take care of me when you blow up. Blowing up is what happened, and taking care of FL is what I did. I made sure FL shit was right every month. Whatever he needed, I broke him off. FL got busted and served about a year right after he made the connection, but when he got out, I broke him off real proper. JC didn't have any immediate action at the time we met, so I had to continue with my original plans of buying kilos from various people to keep my money flowing. A few weeks after meeting JC, I went and bought 15 kilos from one of my suppliers for $22,500 per kilo. One of my drivers had the kilos in the car in front of me, and I stayed on his bumper to make sure he didn't get pulled over. We caught a red light at the intersection of Alondra and Long Beach Boulevard. While we were sitting at the light, JC pulled up next to me. Keefe D, what's up? I've been looking for you. Well, you found me. What's up? He motioned for me to pull over to the side of the road. I told my driver to keep going to the stash house and put the load away. JC leaned his head into the ride and said, it's on. Oh, yeah? Follow me over to my dad's house. Once we arrived, he let me know. Big dog, I have kilos for 17,000 right now. My eyes widened. You bullshitting. I just bought 15 kilos for 22.5 from my guy. I did some quick mental math and calculated how much more I would make fucking with the Colombian. I'm gonna take this shit back. No, come roll with me real quick. Get somebody to ride with us. He didn't have to ask me twice. I got in touch with my brother, Lil Dog. I need you over here with the quickness. Lil Dog jumped into a Maxima, swooped me up, and we followed JC to a one-bedroom apartment. It was 15 minutes away in Hawthorne. JC unlocked the door, and we followed him into a practically empty apartment. He motioned for us to follow him into the kitchen. Once we got there, he started to open up all the cabinets. Each cabinet was filled with taped U-Haul boxes. All of them are yours. My brother and I were stunned as we stood staring at each other. Silence filled the kitchen. What? I acted like I didn't hear him. All of them are yours. Try to have the money within a month. There were 148 birds inside the cabinets. I used to buy 20 to 25 kilos at a time. JC hit me off with 148 birds on consignment like it was nothing. The shit blew my mind because things like that don't happen every day. At 17,000 a piece, that amounted to a little over 2.5 million. No problem. My mind was racing on how I was going to distribute the shit. But my thoughts crashed back down to the ground. I thought about the 337,500 I had just spent for 15 kilos at 22.5 per kilo from my old connect. My brother and I began filling the trunk of the Maxima with the birds and quickly realized there wasn't going to be enough room. So we put the last 2 boxes in the back seat of the car and took off. I got a hold of another one of my brothers who was out in Alabama with my partner C-Ray. Come on home, niggas. It's on. What's go? Before he could finish the question, nigga, just come on home. I'll tell you when you get here. They came home the next day. It was time to get out of Alabama anyway. Those Alabama niggas were starting to get jealous of us being out there. We were some big city, pretty boys with money in our pockets and smelled better than them country ass niggas. So, naturally, their women were throwing plenty of action our way. Aside from the jealousy, there was also racial shit still going on out there that would have led to me catching the case. One night, I stopped at a liquor store in Birmingham to buy me some Cristal rolls and Dom rolls. Hey, can you give me 2 bottles of that and 2 bottles of that? As I pointed to the bottles I was interested in buying. The white guy behind the counter was like, hey, boy, can you afford these bottles? I couldn't believe my ear. What? Who the fuck are you talking to? You see a boy? Suck his dick.
Oh.
The nigga who was in the store with us from Alabama got scared and intervened. No, he doesn't mean that, sir. Yes, the fuck I do. Fuck you, cracker.
Oh.
My guys pulled me back out of the store. When we got outside in the parking lot, the Alabama nigga was like, man, they'll kill you down here. They'll hang you by. I cut that scary bullshit off. Nigga, I'll blow that motherfucking dude's dome off. Where we from, we don't play that boy shit, homie. Our time in Alabama was over. We relocated out of Alabama near the end of 91 and started hitting other cities where we already had folks. We hit up Little Rock, Arkansas, Wichita, Kansas, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Atlanta, Georgia, Cleveland and Columbus, Ohio, and Baltimore, Maryland. Every spot we hit out of town, we made new Crip members, Southsiders to be exact. Our growth plan was simple. Move into places where we already had kinfolk or people we knew. They were doing light work, 5 kilos or something, and we made them an offer they couldn't refuse. You want to make some real money? We'd hit them with 50 kilos and make them the man. Here go 50. Give me 25,000 for each one. They'd sell them for 30,000, netting 5,000 each off of 50 kilos. That's a quick 250,000 for them, and I was still getting my bread. We always made sure to go through established people who were already in those areas. We were never stupid enough to attempt to take over other people's turf, start gang wars, or risk ourselves like that. My crew was not crazy, and I made sure we didn't do any stupid shit under my leadership. We knew better than to put ourselves out there on Front Street, because the local guys would get jealous, especially if you started having sex with their girls. I didn't mix business with pleasure. I kept my shit in my pants. A large percentage of guys in prison today are in there behind a woman. One of my mentors once told me, you can't let little head lead big head. You let little head lead big head, and you're going to be in a world of trouble. You'll end up in prison or the ground. At my height, I was moving 300 kilos a month out of town and another 100 kilos a week in the Los Angeles area. I maxed out at 700 to 800 kilos a month, pulling in a cool 4.2 million monthly. I was able to thrive in the game for a while because there was a difference between the crew I put together and those that came before me. The main difference was that the team that I assembled were cold-blooded, off of their fucking rockers. My crew consisted of my nephew's homies, my little homies, and they were willing to do and did whatever needed to be done. Moving that much weight within the state of California and to other states without shipments getting busted was no easy task. Staying ahead of law enforcement required a good deal of ingenuity. Back in the day, I used to get mad when rappers like Ice Cube would say lines like, St. Louis niggas want their corners back. That was a line from the song My Summer Vacation from his 1991 Death Certificate album. To me, all Ice Cube was doing was snitching. He wasn't sending any work to St. Louis. I was the one sending work to St. Louis.
He was
Then
snitching.
Jeezy had a song where he said, the bigger the rims, the bigger the bird. We used to put birds in rims. I would be mad at some of those rappers, especially the ones who weren't in the game like that. I wish they would stick to recording because they were messing up the dope.
Did you see him? He said it was telling us they were snitching on him in the songs. Hold on.
Game and giving law enforcement inside information. To stay ahead of law enforcement, we regularly had to change our methods for transporting product and money. We used to mail chickens and cash through the mail, but we started having too many problems. One day, I lost $350,000 via the United States Postal Service. The Post Office General and the FBI delivered the package to my wife's relative, and when she signed for the package, they raided her house. If you want to keep your ass out of jail for a very long time, you better call the person that this package belongs to, an FBI agent told my wife's relative. I told you it ain't mine, the relative said. We heard you the first time. Now get the person on the phone that it belongs to. Tell them their package has arrived, the FBI agent warned. The relative called my wife Paula and said, your man's package just got here. Okay, I'll be right over, Paula replied. Instead of calling me, Paula went over there to pick up the package. Wrong move. Paula and I have been together for nearly 30 years, and we've been married for almost 13 of them. That lady is a straight rider who keeps me laughing because she's crazy, fun, and has been by my side through the good times and the bad. Nowadays, she thinks she's Keefe D, and so all them kilos of cocaine. When I got to my house looking for my wife, they told me she had already left to go pick up a package for me. If she had talked to me before going, I would have advised her not to fuck with the package because there were too many red flags. I knew something was wrong because the box was scheduled for overnight delivery, but arrived 2 weeks late. Something was wrong, but she didn't call me before she went over there. About 45 minutes later, my wife's relative called me. Your thing here. The house they lived in sat off the main boulevard, so instead of making a turn, I kept straight up the road. Sure enough, by the time I got to my wife's car, the feds had the front hood, the trunk, and all the doors of her car open. This time, Paula called. But before she could say a word, I said, I see what's going on over there. Ain't no sense in calling me with that bullshit. Yeah, you're right, was all she could say. They ended up letting her go since it was just money. That was the first of the vast sums of money I lost using the mail. So we devised a better plan. My boy FL, once again, was instrumental as he came through and hooked me up with a lawyer who gave me some invaluable information. The lawyer's name was Jerry, and he suggested we rent vans to transport. But he stressed that whoever drove the van to make sure they didn't have their fingerprints on the birds. He advised us to take the panels out of the van and tape the packages to the walls. Then put the panels and covering back up. If the van got pulled over, we could always say it was the people who rented the van before us. He was confident that he could get any of my guys out as long as their fingerprints were not on the drugs. One van could fit about 100 kilos. For a while, we had a lot of success transporting using that method. I found out that JC wasn't the devil when the FBI took him down in 1992. He got busted with 350 kilos dealing with little Tommy from Inglewood. Not long after he got busted, his little brother hit me up. My brother got busted, but you want to continue working? I had been wondering what had happened to JC because he hadn't been answering his phone. Without hesitation, I answered, hell yeah. All right, go get you a driver. I called my boy Uchi to come to get me with his Hyundai, and we followed the new plug to a hotel room in LA. He had somebody bring us 50 kilos to the hotel that we loaded into the Hyundai. On the way home, I had a heart-to-heart with Uchi, who was one of my closest friends. You and me gonna roll off of this. Stick with me every day. I want you to be my right-hand man. Uchi didn't say anything. He just nodded his head, so I thought he agreed with what I was saying. Both C-Ray and my brother Little Dog were out of town, so I shot C-Ray 30 birds and Little Dog 15 birds in bands. One of my homies, named Bubble Up, said, "Give me a chicken so I can go to Seattle, Washington." I was like, "Here, dog." Then Uchi said, "Give me a half a kilo and let me go up there with Bubble Up." I suggested, "You should stay here with me." He protested, "I want to run my own show. Just give me half a kilo and let me go up there with Bubble Up." I'll never understand why he didn't say, "Give me the other 4 and let me go with Bubble Up." I had just told him he was going to be my right-hand man. I would have given them to him since we were that close. Instead, I did as he requested and gave him the half a chicken. My brother Little Dog and C-Ray both came back from out of town within a week with their money. My plug gave me another 100 kilos, so I gave both of them 50 kilos more. They went back to where they were stationed, and they came back and reloaded again before Uchi and Bubble Up came back from Seattle with the money from the chicken and the hat. About 3 weeks later, Uchi and Bubble Up returned from Seattle. Bubble Up said, "Here's 10,000 of your money. I'm going to give you 4,000 more. This dude is going to send me the money." All right, cool. I turned to Uchi. "Where my money at?" He said, "I'm going to give you 4,500, but I'm going to take this other 4,500 and flip it and give you your money later." The businessman side of me took over. "Uchi, give me my money." "I got you, dog. Just give me my money." He was like, "Nah, I'm going to flip this." I said, "Man, give me my money." I was giving him a chance to do the right thing. He didn't know I already had another 100 kilos at the stash house and was ready to break him off with more. But the nigga wouldn't budge. Completely frustrated, I said, "All right then, keep that. You can go ahead and keep that." I threw a big meeting with my crew and told everybody at the meeting not to mess with Uchi. He's going to be isolated. He just sold himself out for 4,500. I couldn't believe he did that. We started rolling big time, and he was left out Louis. About 3 months passed, and I was at a nightclub with my wife, drinking, looking fly, and this lady was flirting with me. I had to turn off because she was still looking at me, and my wife doesn't play that shit. Finally, the lady built up enough courage to come up to me and say, "I know you." I was quick to respond, "You don't know me. You're Uchi's homeboy. I'm supposed to go out there tomorrow to see him." "Where is he?" "Out there in Cleveland." "And you're going out there tomorrow?" C-Ray was in Cleveland, so I immediately got on my phone and asked him, "Man, is Uchi out there with you?" "No, you need to be checking with your brother." I called my brother. "Hey, cuz, you got Uchi out there with you?" "Yeah, I got him out here. I was bored." Disgusted, I said, "You're always fucking with the rules, dude. He was supposed to be isolated. I told everybody to put him on punishment to teach him a lesson." As inconsequential as those violations may seem, when I look back at things, they were two of the first chinks in the armor that I didn't pay too much attention to. But in hindsight, I definitely should have. Bad Boys.
Uh-oh.
My connection to the New York music scene came through one of my East Coast clients.
Y'all hear
Eric
this?
Von Zip Mark. We just called him Zip. I first met Zip back in 1990 or 91 during our annual Southside versus Santana Block street game of baseball. He was the pitcher for the other team, but we started calling him Doc Holliday after the Old West legend because he had a reputation of being a New York street dude. He was an intelligent, laid-back, good dude with a big heart. Zip knew everybody in New York. In fact, Zip is the one who introduced me to Sean Puffy Combs back in 1991 or 92. The two were very close friends. I met a few people from New York through Zip. About a year after our initial meeting, Zip came out to the West Coast and invited a few of us to a party they were having for Puffy at the El Rey Theater. At the time, Puffy was a talent director at Uptown Records, working with Jodeci and Mary J. Blige. About 8 or 9 of us took Zip up on his invitation and went to the party at the El Rey Theater with him. Zip was on the guest list, so he led us into the VIP section. That night, we met Jaleel Green Eyes from Houdini and Busta Rhymes. Zip brought us over to where Puffy was and made the introduction. These are my folks. We shook hands, and that was it. I could tell the nigga Puffy had a little swag, but he was like a young kid to me. Back then, Puffy was broke, relatively speaking, because his music industry career was just getting started. I was the one with the big paper back then, filling up bathtubs with cases of bottles. They were still drinking that White Lightning, corn liquor from the bootleg houses in New York. I wasn't going for that shit. Stop by the bottle store, nigga. I was popping bottles. I was the one wearing glove-fitting Armani, Versace, Canali, and Brioni suits. I was rich when I met that motherfucker Puffy.
Uh-oh.
I don't blame him, but meeting Puffy has been like a bad dream from which I'm still trying to wake up.
Uh-oh.
I hate that I ever met that son of a bitch.
Uh-oh.
My life has gone backward ever since. After that Vegas shit, the FBI shut me down on my ass. My days turned rainy fucking with Puff.
Uh-oh.
Puff got in touch with me a few months after we met to see about renting one of my 64 lowriders for Usher's first video, Can You Get With It? I charged Puff $2,400 to use a lowrider for one day, sent the car up in the Hollywood area on a tow truck, and had one of my partners stay up there with it. In the video, Usher was dancing on the hood and fucked up the paint, so they had to send me $4,400 to repaint it. Back then, the Southside Compton Car Club was a well-off crib set with about 35 cars, jackets, plaques in the window, and everything. Several celebrities rented out cars for videos, including Marquise Houston, Melly Mel in his video with Redman, and Eazy-E. In the summer of '95, Zip came through the neighborhood and said, Puffy and them are having the Beat Summer Jam show tonight at Irvine Meadows. Y'all want to go? Cool, let's go. When we arrived at the venue, Zip took us through the VIP entrance where all the talent entered. It was a hell of a show. Tretch opened up, then Jodeci, then Mary J. Blige, then Junior Mafia, Biggie, then Puff, Faith, and Craig Mack. Biggie performed Dangerous, Juicy, and then brought the house down with One More Chance. You definitely got your money's worth at their shows with all the hits they were dropping. Our crew was 20 to 30 deep, and we were all up on the stage. Most of us wearing Dallas Cowboys gear, drinking bottles, and smoking weed. The performances took place on a rotating stage, and on one of the rotations, I spotted Suge standing over to one side. Suge appeared to me like he was getting jealous. Biggie had that hot-ass hit, One More Chance, which was the banger of the summer. Suge had Death Row Records, but they didn't have any big hits banging at the time. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see Suge looking at me. Then he gestured for me to come over to speak with him. Keefe D, let me holler at you. What's up, dog? Then Suge asked, man, how you know them? Nigga, the same way I know you. The dope game, that's how I know them. After the show that night, Puff gave an off-the-chain after party where he was the DJ. I didn't know the nigga could DJ like that. Not long after that show, the Source Awards happened. And that's when Suge made the controversial comment. Any artists out there that want to be an artist and stay a star and don't have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the videos, all on the records, dancing, come to Death Row. Wu-Tang and them were in the house deep and started booing. The beef was really with Wu-Tang, but I guess Suge seen them Wu-Tang niggas with some grown-ass men, so they went and picked on them youngsters from Junior Mafia. The beef wasn't with Junior Mafia. The niggas from Wu-Tang were the ones giving them a hard time. Soon after Suge's Source Awards comment, Zip came back in town. Zip must have orchestrated with Puff. I'm going to be with Keefe D and them tonight. Because Zip's phone rang as we were rolling down Greeley, and it was Puffy. He answered, hey, what's up, Puff? Yo, where's your boy Keefe D? I need to talk to him. He right here. Zip passed me his phone. Puffy wants to talk to you. What's up, dog? Man, we're about to do the BET tour. Then he paused. You think it's cool for us to come out there? I was kind of puzzled. Why wouldn't it be? Your boy, big CEO, he's tripping. He was talking about Suge. I didn't know that their two factions were having funk at the time. Something had happened in Atlanta where Big Jake from Campanella Park had gotten shot, supposedly by Wolfie, one of Puffy's bodyguards from New York.
Oh.
Our position was we weren't getting in the middle of that shit. I told Puff, just send me 40 to 50 tickets and we'll be in there deep at all your concerts. And that's what happened. Puffy would give us tickets to be at their Bad Boy West Coast shows. We went everywhere with them fool. We'd meet up with them at the hotel, get the tickets, and go with them. I used to ride in the van with the nigga. Crips were backstage deep at most of those West Coast shows. When Suge had everybody in the music industry intimidated, I knew he was soft and didn't have a heart. Because I played Pop Warner football with the nigga. We didn't give a fuck about Suge and his crew. To us, they were Rudy Poo. We had been fighting all of our lives. Up until then, Suge was in college, hanging around rappers, perhaps punking rappers, but he couldn't punk real street dudes. He wasn't in the streets like that. He wasn't gonna do what real street niggas would do to your ass. The way it would work was Zip would fly out and meet us at different locations. Zip always knew where Puffy was staying because they were close. When it was time to get the tickets, we would meet up with them at the hotel. That year, on Halloween night, Bad Boy had a concert at the Anaheim Pond. I picked Zip up from the Long Beach airport, and about 12 of us went to the hotel where they were staying. When we got to Puffy's suite, Andre Herrera was in there, and there was a room full of Crips. We started drinking bottles, and the nigga Puffy came out of the bathroom butt naked with nothing but a towel wrapped around him. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking or trying to prove, but I would have never done any shit like that. Puffy was so scared during this time that he had hired ex-Navy SEALs wearing earpieces like they worked for the CIA in the hotel room right next to his suite. We were laughing our asses off. Them street niggas would have killed them SEALs fast as a motherfucker. It's a dirty game on these streets. SEALs play by the books. Street niggas don't. When it was time to head to the venue, I rode over in the hotel van with Puff and Zip. In the dressing room, they had a Kentucky Fried Chicken spread. The show that night featured Jodeci, Mary J. Blige, Naughty by Nature, the whole Bad Boy crew, Craig Mack, Biggie, Little Kim, Total, 112, and Junior Mafia. When we got back from the concert, we were up in Puff's suite playing 456, also known as CeeLo on the East Coast, on a pan roll on the bed. It was Tretch, D-Mac from Mansfield, who was also Puff's college roommate at Howard University, Puff, and a few of the homies. Those niggas didn't know that shooting dice was my little hustle before I got started in the dope game. I was tearing their asses up. Arnell Simpson, O.J. Simpson's daughter, was dressed in a cat outfit that night and came in the room to see Tretch. That's when O.J. was going through his shit. Tretch told her to get on the bed and meow for him, baby. She kicked her leg up and started meowing like a pussycat. Those parties used to be off the chain. There were all kinds of drugs and shit being passed around, but we didn't fuck with drugs like that. A lot of those pimp dudes like Don Juan, Good Game and them, they were smoking crack and snorting cocaine. One dude was sitting down sniffing a mixture of heroin and cocaine called a speedball.
Whoa.
I asked him, the fuck are you doing? He said, this shit here is better than a nut. I had to tell him, nigga, you don't need nothing better than a nut. That shit doesn't go down out here like that. Crips ain't about that. The only thing we used was weed and drank a lot of bottles. One night, when Puff and Zip were in town, I got a call from Zip. Yo, Puff said he needs to speak with you. Come to meet us at Greenblatt's Deli on Sunset. A few of my partners and I went down to meet Puff and Zip at Greenblatt's Deli and Fine Wines. The place sat between the strip club and the Laugh Factory on Sunset Boulevard. We went in through the back entrance and started smoking weed on the back patio. That evening, Ronald Isley, a.k.a. Mr. Biggs.
What? Mr. Biggs was there? All right now, Mr. Biggs was there. Ron Isley was up in the camp.
Angela Winbush pulled up in there driving a triple white Rolls Royce. The rag was white.
So what's the name's cousin was there? Angela Winbush. Uh, Sharon Winbush's cousin was there. All right, let me go.
Seats were white, and the interior was cocaine white. That thing was pretty. Miss Winbush had a white fur wrapped around her. They were supremely hard. Zip and Puff were double dating that night. Zip was with one girl, and they brought one of the girl's cousins that was actually from our neighborhood as a tag-along for Puffy. The girl from our neighborhood had the reputation of being loose, but Puffy didn't know that. We were all laughing at that fool because he was all hugged up and kissing her, but he didn't know the kind of girl she was back in the hood. A group of us went downstairs to place an order. I remember ordering a pastrami sandwich. Then I added, "Give me a couple of those Tattinger Rosé." Puff waved me over the step to the side with him. "I need to speak with you, big dog." We stepped off to the side where we were able to speak privately. Like a lion on the Serengeti, I'm able to smell and see fear. Puffy was full of fear. "What's up?" I asked. "I have a couple of problems I need to be handled." Big CEO and Pop.
Uh-oh.
I looked at him in his eyes, and without hesitation, I responded, "That's not a problem. We can make that happen." After our brief convo, we went back upstairs and ate. He ate at the table with the broads, and I was with my folks. I didn't tell my guys what Puffy and I discussed while we were eating. I waited until we were in the car on the way home. The nigga Puffy wanted us to take care of Big CEO and Tupac. I bet the nigga would give us $1 million for those niggas' heads. While Puffy and Suge were in the midst of their ongoing feud, Tupac became a problem when he made that cold-ass diss song, "Hit 'Em Up." Pac ate them up with that song, and Puffy didn't like that. That diss song made Puffy mad, calling them gay like that. Wouldn't you be mad? At the end of that song, Tupac hit us too with that, "And if you want to be down with Bad Boy, then fuck you too." That shit made Southsiders mad. Even though he didn't name us, we took that as a dig to the Southside. Before the shit...
Yeah, T-Girl, I know that. I know she was a wife. I was just being funny with Sharon Winbush.
Shit in Vegas happened, I ran into Tupac a few times. I can honestly say he seemed to be a cool guy. The first time I saw him was in 1989 at the Greek Theater where Flavor Flav and his crew Public Enemy performed, along with Digital Underground. Tupac was a part of the Digital Underground crew, doing his little part on stage wearing a diaper. We were near the front of the stage on the side. He came out with that punk-ass diaper on. One of the niggas I was with from Tragnew Park was bagging on his ass, talking about a grown man walking around in a diaper. We saw Tupac again at a house party in the Valley with a whole bunch of young black celebrities. Will Smith, Jada Pinkett, Queen Latifah, MC Lyte, Tashina Arnold, Dwayne Martin, and his wife, Tisha Campbell. Puffy and Tupac showed up at the party together. I don't know what the fuck was going on at that party, but I wasn't feeling too comfortable there, so we got the fuck up out of there. The next to last time we saw Tupac was when he got out of jail and came out with the record, California Love. Once again, Tupac had a line in that song, recognized from Long Beach and Rosecrans, which didn't sit right with Southsiders. Some Southsiders were up at the House of Blues on Sunset, and we ran into Tupac. He was up there with Big Syke from the Outlaws. The homie Oldie went up and grabbed Tupac by the collar and pushed him against the wall and said, "Nigga, you know what that Long Beach and Rosecrans stand for?" Big Syke spoke up. "Nah, homie, he just rapping on a song, homie. He don't know what's going on out here." Oldie warned him, "That's some Pyru shit. You better ease up on that shit, nigga." Pac had his chance. He should have learned his lesson then. Tupac mistakenly thought Suge and the Death Row crew they were rolling with were untouchable and would protect him. He seemed to have lost touch with the reality of the streets, that everyone can be touched. He didn't understand that we were high powered. We did the shit he rapped about, for real. We weren't into that music industry shit. We were going up against real niggas in the streets every day of our lives. Unfortunately, the next time we would see Tupac would be September 7th, 1996, the fateful night in Las Vegas, Nevada, when Tupac and the crew he chose to run with crossed the line and put their hands and feet on my nephew, Baby Lane. Death row. When my phone rang, I already knew who was calling and what it was about. Nigga, I'm on parole. I can't be strolling up in no MDC. The Metropolitan Detention Center is a U.S. federal prison in downtown Los Angeles. I was expecting Boss Man's call because the day before, he had sent his broad to visit me. She came by the house and passed along his message. Boss Man wants you to go and visit him. I shared my concern with her. Tell Boss Man to give me a call. When my phone rang the next morning, I knew it was him. Boss Man had become a big-time nigga on the streets. And if he was calling me to visit him, I knew it wasn't for no bullshit. In 1990, when the feds took Boss Man down, they also took 41 people from his crew along with him. They confiscated all his shit. Something like 26 cars, 13 Harley Davidsons, 4 businesses, 20-something houses, and $9 million in cash.
Wow.
My dilemma was that I was nervous as hell to visit the MDC because I was still on parole. I wasn't sure if I walked up in there, if I'd be free to walk out. After my opening comment, Boss Man responded like he didn't hear a word I said. Nigga, I got a plug up here. I need you to come up here and see me. He had said the magic word, plug. The next day, I pushed my nerves to the side and went to visit him.
Okay, an ex-felon that's on parole going to see somebody, MDC, in jail. So they can go and visit people. All those that said that people can't go if they have well, he's on parole and he's able to go visit. You heard that, right, y'all? Okay.
Dog, I have 300 kilos out there that they didn't get. I need you to move them for me. You're the only one left out there. He continued. I'm going to use the money to start this record company called Death Row. What you think? Shit, I didn't know what to think. Man, you know anything about the record business, I asked? No. You want to be the head of it, he asked. Hell no. I don't know nothing about the record business either.
That's Suge Knight,
Just
y'all.
give
He went
me
to go
the dope.
visit.
You think it's going to work? He wondered aloud. I didn't want to hurt his feelings, but had to keep it real. I don't think so, dog. Just giving you my true opinion. As far as moving the dope, though, I'll make that happen. Don't worry about nothing, I assured him. My crew and I did the footwork, got rid of all 300 kilos, and delivered the money where it needed to go. There have been books and documentaries about the inner workings of Death Row Records once it got started. I have nothing to say about any of that, the good or the bad. What I do have firsthand knowledge of is that the money for Death Row Records came from real street niggas. Boss Man was the real nigga that put the money up for Death Row Records. I don't know how Harry O got involved. I know Harry O was locked up in MDC at the same time as Boss Man. Both of them had drug cases at the same time. But I know Boss Man was a central player in that shit. I know that as an indisputable fact. That's how Suge got into it, because my boy had a couple of houses in Suge's hood. Boss Man had his girl running things for the record company, but she was only 19 years old or a fucking kid. She didn't know anything about the record business. Boss Man told me, I need you to buy my bro a car so she can handle her business. Okay, cool. I was looking for a Maxima or a Honda Accord. She came back with, Boss Man said for you to buy me a Benz. Bitch, I ain't even got a Benz. That's why he's locked up now with that Benz shit. I went on and copped her the Benz. Boss Man and I ended up falling out over some dumb shit. His broad came over to my place one day with some white guys telling me to give her some money. I recall some game one of my advisors once told me, bitches are like white boys. They will tell on your ass. I never forgot that. I said, bitch, first of all, you don't have no business bringing white people to my house. What, you want me to be Boss Man's cellmate? What the fuck are you trying to do? I guess she relayed what I told her back to Boss Man. He must not have liked that shit. Not only did me and my crew put the work in to get the money up to start Death Row, but one day Suge called me. He was trying to get in touch with Eazy-E, who along with Dr. Dre and MC Ren were all from the neighboring Compton Crip set, Kelly Park. Eazy-E used to sell dope with my brother, and my brother would go out on tour with NWA. We used to cook dope at his mama's house. I remember when Eazy-E first started, and he used to be on the turntables, and I'd be like, what the fuck is that? He used to sound terrible. Then, when I was in the pen, this fat nigga came over and was like, man, that nigga Eric Wright is rolling. He started rapping, cruising down the street in my 6'4". I started cracking up. Suge and I both knew Eazy because Eazy was in the dope game. Suge tried to influence Eazy to be on death row. Eazy-E was like, nope, I'm sticking with Ruthless. Suge called me that day to ask me to help him get Dr. Dre's number. I didn't know Dre personally, but I made a few calls and got Dre's number for him. Next thing I know, he convinced Dre to come to death row. Boss Man helped persuade Dre because they had a lot of money to play with. Eazy-E was throwing those little $70,000 checks around. Death row had millions. When you cook that water, you're an automatic millionaire. It's a big difference in the level of money when you prepare that water. When I heard the song Deep Cover, the first shit Death Row released, I was genuinely happy for them Compton niggas. About a year later, Death Row Records blew up, and the rest is history. They came up and became one of the most influential independent record labels, generating hundreds of millions of dollars. They had some of the biggest names in hip-hop history: Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Tupac. Dr. Dre was smart and got away from that bullshit at the right time. And now he's one of the wealthiest guys in hip-hop. Dre saw that Suge and them were feuding with his homies, going against the hood when they were supposed to be making millions. I don't know what possessed Suge to get himself into something that he didn't have any business. I'll never understand why the nigga Suge would wait to reach 100 million to become a gang member. Don't be surprised by the collaboration that existed and the part I willingly played in helping to get Death Row off the ground. Keep in mind, at that time, things were cool between Suge and me. Remember, Suge was not a known blood back then. He was a college student. Trust me, I would have known. The generation of Crips that I come from is different than this new generation of Crips. When we were young, we were so dangerous that Bloods couldn't even wear red around us because Bloods were our sworn rivals. Colors mattered to us more than the Union blue and the Confederate gray. The fighting between us was almost as fierce. If we saw somebody wearing red, we would make a U-turn and get their ass. What? No questions asked.
What?
It's calmed down a lot now, but in my generation, Crips were vicious.
What? Did y'all hear that? If they saw somebody with red on, they'll go stop and jack them up. Oh, my Lord. Lord, have mercy. I remember when I went to Compton, I was so scared. I was so scared because I was near the swap meet store and I saw them won the parking spot, right? And there was a little car parked there. They kept jacking, like, you know, that bouncing the car. And they all of them picked up the car and took the parking space and left the car in the just like lay, just any kind of way. It wasn't even, they took the parking space. They picked up the car and took the parking space. I saw that with my own eyes, y'all. Hold on.
And people knew it. The first time I had a conflict with any of Suge's Death Row people was at a video shoot for a group Suge was working with called the 6ix9ine Girls at a mansion in Hidden Hills. Sergeant Reynolds, who was a Compton police officer but moonlighted doing private security for Death Row, was out in front of the gate wearing his right-way security gear. We had previous run-ins with Reynolds in Compton, and we didn't know it then, but we were going to have more costly run-ins with him in the future. Reynolds was like, y'all ain't getting in. I don't know why the fuck y'all came all the way out here. We were about 4 carloads deep. We were at the bottom of the hill and needed to go up the hill where there was a gate to get in. I saw this girl in Compton that I knew and I yelled, hey, tell Suge to come down here. After a few minutes, Suge came walking down the hill. Suge asked, who all with y'all? All of us, as I turned to look over my shoulder at the crew I was rolling with that night. He turned to Reynolds and said, let them all in. We were clowning Reynolds' ass as we rolled past the entry gate, headed up the hill. We were in there partying, watching the video shoot. Then Suge and I got to talking about hooking up and doing some stuff together. Suge took a puff on the cigar he was holding, tilted his head up, and blew out the smoke. He said, man, if we ever hook up, we're going to be on top of the world. I thought to myself, bitch, we're already on top. He did make some good points about how dominant our team would have been if we were to join forces. The video shoot started outside by the swimming pool, then moved inside. We were all standing by the stairs. And when I began to walk up the stairs, this tall-ass girl, she had to be at least 6'1", started tripping. I'm not sure if as I started to walk up the stairs, I brushed up against her ass or something, but if I did, it wasn't intentional. The girl turned as I walked by and said, "This is death row, motherfucker," as if that was supposed to mean something to me. Bitch, I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. Suge shut her down quick. Bitch, shut up.
What?
I don't understand why she chose to fuck with me. Of all the people I was with, I was the worst one for her to say that stupid shit to, because I really didn't give a fuck. If she knew who I was, she wouldn't have said that ignorant shit. A couple of months later, one night while we were hanging out at the Luna Park Club on Robinson and Santa Monica Boulevard, we ran into that same girl with her crew of girls. I knew I would run into her one day. You remember me, bitch? This is Death Row, motherfucker. I was with some Southsiders and Grape Streets. Those girls got their asses beat up in there that night.
What?
I don't know if the girl ran back and told Suge, those Southside niggas beat us up, but it didn't matter to me either way. The next time I saw Suge, a few months later, there was about 50 Crips, Southsiders, Nutty Blocks, and Grape Streets, kicking it in front of the Palencia Club on Sunset Boulevard, right across the street from the Roxy. Suge, Tupac, and Snoop rolled up, each in a different colored Rolls Royce. Suge led the way in a candy apple red Rolls Royce with a matching red Godfather hat. Snoop's was black, and Tupac was driving a white one. "Keefe D, what's up?" Suge shouted. All the Crips were like, "Damn, cuz," clowning me like that's Keefe's boy. Suge double parked and jumped out. "Hey, man, it's cracking in there?" "Nah, not really. If y'all want some action, let's go to Club Paradise." Club Paradise was a little club on Hyatt in Santa Monica. Back then, the term ratchet wasn't invented. But if it had been, most of the bitches in Club Paradise would have qualified.
Ratchet.
The girls in Club Paradise would suck a nigga's dick right on the dance floor.
Shit.
People would be screwing in the bathrooms, straight hood rat shit. And I let Suge and them know that. The decision was made to go by Club Paradise to see if it was popping. I was riding in the car behind Tupac. There were crowds of people on both sides of the street, and when we hit the corner, somebody shot up Suge's red Rolls Royce. I thought he was dead. His Godfather hat was lying in the street. Suge probably felt that we had something to do with that, but we didn't have anything to do with that shit. Southside was not one of the bigger sets in terms of numbers, but we were a proud, close-knit family that took care of our own on every level and knew how to handle our business. One of my little homeboys named Victor, who was a major high school football player at Dominguez High School, had received a scholarship to play college football for a Pac-10 school in Arizona. One day, Victor and I got to talking, and he shared with me that he was getting ready to head off to college in a few days. Despite the hardcore street lives we were living, and contrary to what many might believe, we were all very proud to see one of our own make it to that level and get out of the hood. I told Victor that we were going to have a nice send-off for him before he left for college. We wanted him to go out to Phoenix and represent Southside correctly. Shit, we wanted our homeboy to be one of the most fly dudes on that whole campus. I told Victor, go on up to the Lakewood Mall to do some school shopping. We'll meet you up there in a few. While Victor was at the mall, he ran into 3 Pyru gang members who were down with Death Row's crew. They started gangbanging on him, as gangbangers do, throwing up gang signs, calling out their gang set, and calling the little homie a crab, which is a demeaning and disrespectful way that Bloods refer to Crips. What those Pyrus didn't know, while they were banging on the homie Victor, was that the Crip cavalry was on his way to the mall.
Uh-oh.
Awful timing for them. It had to be one hell of a sight for Victor's eyes, because just as they were harassing the little homie, about 5 Southsiders mobbed through the Lakewood Mall doors. When he saw his backup coming through those doors, he puffed up. Nigga, it's on. What's that shit now, nigga? Victor was a buff, football-playing dude, so he knocked one of the dudes out cold and snatched his death row chain. They got their asses beat up in there that day. One guy got knocked out cold, one of the other guys started having seizures, and the other guy got stomped out. The planned shopping spree had to be postponed, and the crew got the fuck out of Dodge. When that shit was over, we didn't even think about it again. It was another day in the life of a Southside Crip. We kept it moving. But there's one thing that's for sure when living that gangster lifestyle. You already know that the stuff you put out is going to come back. You never know how or when, but there's never a doubt that it's coming.
All right. Whew, that's halfway with the book now. I'm going to end this live and I'm going to start another live so we can get rolling on part 2. That sounds good, y'all. This is part 1. We're going to go do part 2 because I didn't want it to be too long. We're at the 2-hour mark. All right. See you guys in a few. Bye.